Hey everyone, this is the part 2 of this series of Red Hat Enterprise Linux System Administration. Okay, here you can clearly see that this is not a Linux distro, but it's a Mac OS. Okay, but don't worry, I'll be shifting to Linux soon in this video itself. The reason why I opened this Mac terminal is just to tell you that both are built on top of Unix kernels. So the fundamental commands which works on Linux also works on Mac. Okay, so if I type something like ls, okay, list storage is going to show me all the files which is listed here, correct? So exactly, so ls a also works, ls l also works, just like that pwd also works. So everything which we did last time also works. Okay, let me type this one peculiar command. Okay, who am I? Okay, so who am I will tell me which user I'm using to operate this computer. Okay, I'm going to press an enter button here and you can clearly see it says Darshan Amarnath. Okay, fine. Okay, now I have logged in as Darshan Amarnath. Okay, that's why it's showing this. Let me open my what do I say, the parallels for the Fedora operating system. So Fedora is here. Cool. Cool. I'm gonna close this or whatever is open last time. I don't need that. Yep. Okay. So just like that, I'm gonna have who am I gonna type here? Who am I? So before seeing the output of this command, it's so obvious that the output of the command is going to be this, right? I clearly told you in the last video, this is the user which is using the accessing the computer right now, and this is the computer name, and this is the file location, okay, the current location where you're pointing at. So when I type who am I, I'm supposed to get parallels, just like that. I got parallels, correct? Okay, now let's go back to our Mac. Okay, oops, yes, okay, fine. I'm gonna type something called ID. Okay, ID stands for identity. Okay, oh my god, I got a bunch of text which is so not making sense to me. UID stands for user ID, GID stands for group ID. Okay, groups, there's a lot of groups here. Okay, now let's go back to Linux and type the exact same thing. Okay, fine. ID. Okay, let me just increase the size. Yep. Okay, we got some scary text again, but it's a bit shorter. Fine. Now I got UID as 1000. Okay, GID as 1000. Groups is equal to 1000. Okay, 10, and this context which we don't need as of now. Fine. Let's say I create another user. Okay, let's say I create another user. User add. Okay, I need to be root user for that. Okay, oops, cool. Okay, now I'm going to type ID here. Okay, but I'm going to get a different output this time. Fine. So last time I got 1000, but this time I got 0. Okay, the UID for root is always 0. Okay, cool. Now let me go to my Mac and shift to root. Cool. Who am I? I'm root. Okay, I'm going to type ID and I'm going to get UID is equal to 0 and GID is equal to 0. Awesome. Now even on Mac it stays the same. Okay, for root user, the user ID and group ID is going to stay 0. Okay, but why, Darshan? What are you blabbering? Why am I seeing all this text? Oh, why do I even need to care about this? Fine. What is wheel and all? I'll tell you right now. Now let's say you have a firm, IT firm, or let's say you just have a server running, okay, and you have your employees accessing this operating system, this computer or this server. Okay, let's say the employee 1 is Darshan, employee 2 is Nitish, employee 3 is let's say Karthik. Okay, Darshan, Nitish, and Karthik. Okay, now let's say Darshan is the most senior administrator and Nitish is the next one level below, and Karthik is a junior. Okay, now we don't want to make Karthik access all the files in the computer or the server, but at the same time, we want to let Nitish access certain files in the system, but not all the files in the system. Okay. At the same time, I want to let Darshan access all the files in the system, just like a root user. And you clearly know that a root user can access all the files in the system. Root user is a supreme like god in Linux, right? He can do anything. Okay, he or she can do anything. Now, fine. If you have a root user, it always has a user ID of 0 and a group ID of 0. Okay. Okay. Okay, fine. I create a new user. Okay. Let me just user add. Okay. Fine. Now let me set a password for Darshan. Okay. I'm gonna type something like let me type the name itself. Okay, it's saying the bad password because I typed a very simple password. Okay, fine. Now let me switch to that user. How do I switch to another user? I can simply say su and the username. Okay, now when I do this, I do not need to type the password for Darshan. Why? Because I'm switching from a root user, right? Root user has permissions to go anywhere. To go to a Darshan user, to operate as Darshan, to behave as Darshan, I do not need any password. So when I type this, as soon as I type that, I'm a what user? I'm a Darshan user. I'm not a root user anymore. Here, when I type ID, okay, when I type ID, okay, I'm going to get 1002 and group ID is 1002. Okay, I never added a group. Right? But why am I seeing groups is equal to 1002 Darshan? Why? That's weird. Okay, so fundamentally what happens is, right, every time you create a user, a group with the same name of the user also gets created to and gets assigned to your user. Okay, so tomorrow if I create a user called Nitish, okay, I will have some UID, let's say 1003 in this case, and GID 1003 in this case, but I will have a default group which gets added to my user called Nitish. Is that understood? It's a really simple concept, guys. Yeah. So fine. Now let me try to create a file, okay, in this root directory. Okay, where am I? I'm in /root. Okay, pwd is going to be /root. Correct. Now let me create a file. Okay, touch xyz.text. It says touch cannot touch, means this command cannot do this. Touch cannot do this. Okay, why? Is saying permission denied. Why is that so? Clearly Darshan user does not have the permission to what? Permission to create a file in the root directory. Okay, this is a case where you don't want a user to not have the permissions as a root user. Okay, now where can I create a file? xyz.text. I can go to my root my location, okay, where I'm allowed to operate. Okay, now let me create another user. Okay, another user which is saying user add Nitish. Okay, now why is it saying permission denied? It's saying permission denied clearly because I cannot create a user from a Darshan user. To create a user, I need to be part of the root user. Clearly, okay. Now let me switch to the root user. Okay, I can just exit. Okay, to come back to the root user. Okay, user add Nitish. Okay, now I'm going to give ID Nitish. So in this case, ID is going to be what? It's a no-brainer, guys. It's going to be 1003, right? And clearly a group ID of 1003 and Nitish is also created, okay, with the group. Okay, now let's stop here and think for a while. Now I want to give this Nitish user all the permissions such that he can act as a root user. What do I do? What do I do? So there's a group called wheel. Okay. If I give ID for root, okay, if I just press enter, or I can just say ID root, okay, I am going to get something like wheel. See, in this case it's different. Okay, let me just go access this. So in this Mac it's saying wheel. Okay, for Mac it's saying wheel. So what this wheel necessarily means is, if your user has been added to this group called wheel, okay, this group called wheel, then that user has potential to do anything he wants, just like the root user. Okay, but by typing his password. Okay, so in this case it's not visible. Okay, in the case of Red Hat, I mean Fedora. Okay, but still, if you go to a normal user, okay, if you go to a normal user, okay, let's just say we add the group wheel. Okay, before adding the group wheel, I want you to know what a vi sudo file is. Okay, so let me just cd hc ls okay, so there's a file called sudo's file. Okay, sudo's file. So if I go to that file, I can access using vi sudo. Okay, now where is vi sudo? It's inside etc sudos.tmp. Okay, it's inside this. Okay, here I can see this group wheel is equal to all. Okay, I want to add this to the Nitish user. How do I add? Okay, before doing that, I'll show you something. Let's just go here. Let me open a new chat. Okay, as usual, let's use our chat GPT, guys. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to tell ChatGPT, I have a user. Okay, let me just increase the size. I have a user called Nitish. Okay, with UID is equal to 1003, GID is equal to 1003, groups is equal to 1003. Okay, I want to make it behave like the root user by adding the wheel group. What do I do? There's a command called group add. Okay, so it's going to give you the prompt for that. Okay, so what group add does is, if you want to introduce a new group to the Linux distro, okay, Nitish has a group named Nitish, Darshan has a group named Darshan, Root has a group named Root, and I already told you, other than these group names, we have a group name called wheel. Okay, now other than wheel, if I want to create a new group, okay, what I can do is I can use the command group add. But that is not what we want to do here. We want to add an existing group to an existing user. Okay, we have a user called Nitish and we have a user called wheel, but what we want to do is, Nitish does not have the Nitish does not have the group wheel. Okay, so there's a command which is necessary, okay, in order to add this wheel to Nitish. Okay, this command user mod, okay, stands for user modify. Okay, we do not need sudo in this case. We can just do this. Why? Because if we are acting as the root user, we do not need sudo. Okay, let me just go here. Let me come out of this. Okay, I'm as root user, right? I'm going to paste this. Okay, pasting does not work from here, but we can just do user mod wheel Nitish. Is it right? Oh, sorry, add group. Okay, AG stands for add group. Small a and then capital G. A stands for add and capital G stands for group. Okay, I missed out on that. So as soon as I type this, okay, it's going to say, okay, no worries, there's no errors, and it comes to the next prompt. Let me type ID Nitish. Now what should happen? I'm going to press an enter and I can see wheel. Okay, 10 wheel. Okay, the ID of wheel is 10, group ID of wheel is 10, and the wheel is being added to what? Nitish. Okay, it's added to Nitish. Okay, now I'm here. Okay, I do not have permissions to create any files here, right? Let me go to version. Okay, let me touch some file. Okay, it's saying this. Let me come out again. Let me go back to Nitish. Let me just say su Nitish. Okay, now let me try to touch some file name. It's saying permission denied. Okay, now I'm going to type sudo touch. Okay, I have not created the password for Nitish. That's the first error. Let's create a password for Nitish. Okay, pass wd Nitish. Okay, Nitish 123. Nitish 123. Okay, cool. Now let's go back to Nitish. Okay, su Nitish. Let's switch as Nitish. Okay, now I'm gonna create a file. Touch this, and it's not allowing. Do touch sudo touch. Yes. Now let me type my password Nitish 123. Now I have created a file. If I do ls, okay, this file is there. I'm able to create a file using Nitish user, which only root was able to do it, right? Now this, my friends, is user and group management. Okay, there's a very peculiar file called vi sudo file, okay, which I can open using two ways. Okay, I can use vi sudo command to open, or I can go to this file etc sudoers. Okay, should be yes. Okay, using sudo I can access this file. Okay, but let's just do vi. Okay, or the best is nano, right? Okay, using this thing, it's saying read only. Okay, okay, now what we can do is let's just add a line. Okay, now let me erase this and I'm going to save this again, and okay, cool. Now there's a set of things which I don't understand here. Okay, everything is commented except a few lines. Everything is commented except a few lines. Okay, so I'm going to do a simple thing. I'm going to do the exact same thing here in this thing. Okay, do vi sudo. Okay, and I'm going to come down and ask ChatGPT explain this. So in Mac, the line grant, okay, this thing, okay, this admin line, okay, this one in Mac, this, if you add this group, it will let you use any command as any user. Okay, in the case of Linux, you have to have the wheel user. Okay, so is it the same thing as admin and wheel? Same thing? I'm just gonna ask, is admin same as wheel in Linux? Okay, it's saying it's not necessarily the same. These are just common names for groups that are often used to grant administrative privileges through sudo. Okay, so yeah, it's saying no because it's not exact copy, but it definitely emphasizes that if you have admin or wheel added to a user, he can act as the root user just by adding a sudo command in the prefix. Okay, cool. Wheel is more traditional and maybe found on systems like Red Hat based systems, okay, which we are using right now, which is Fedora, okay. Now let's go here, okay, and ask, okay, what will that vi sudo look look like in Fedora or Rel? Okay, so ChatGPT is saying, okay, instead of admin, you will have wheel. Okay, members of the wheel group are allowed to run any command. Okay, cool. Now, I want to give uh, no permissions to Nitish, even if wheel is added. Okay. Now, okay, what I wanted to do is, even after wheel being added to any user, okay, I want to tell the operating system that do not give Nitish uh, any permission, okay, deny all permissions, okay. I'm just going to copy this line and ask, okay, where are you denying the permission? Okay. Okay, there are multiple ways to do this. Okay, you can remove certain things and you can add certain things. In this example, the first two lines are default settings. Okay, that's default. Okay, the third line denies all permissions. The user by using no password is equal to all. This line specifies that Nitish is not allowed to run any command with sudo. Cool. Okay, this is one way to do it, and this is the other way to do it. Okay, and the third line denies all permissions for the root user. Okay, so you can either do this or either say no password :all. Okay, cool. Right. Okay, how do I check my sort of permissions? Okay, so you notice, right, vi sudo. Okay, I read etc sudo as, okay, but this is not a good practice, guys. Okay, this is not a good practice. Let me come out of the file. Okay, I'm going to say the exact same thing when I do sudo vi sudo. Okay, and just the password is required. Oops, I have the wrong password. Yes. Okay, I'm going to see the exact file, but on the top will say sudo.temp. Okay, now we do this, we do vi sudo, okay, command. It's going to open the exact same file, but we do this for security reasons, because vi sudo is a very delicate file. We do not want to tamper that file at any point. Okay, so we open the sudoers file, okay, using this. Okay, using vi sudo. Fine. Let me just say ls. Okay, I'm gonna do lsl. I mean ll. Okay, ll. Okay. Now ads. Okay, it's created by the root user. Okay, of the group. Okay, I do not have executable permissions here. Correct. rwx rwx rwx. At nowhere I can see executable permissions. Okay, to have executable permissions obtained, okay, I can do something as simple as sudo chmod, okay, plus x adas. Okay, now if I do ll, you will see the x binary added to every part rwx. Okay, there's no w. Okay, now let's say I want to remove the executable permissions. Okay, I can just say minus x. Okay, and if I do ll right now, x is gone. X is clearly gone. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is how you let a particular user allow to execute read or write. Okay, so let's say let's go to ChatGPT and ask, I have a text file, okay, with root permissions. I want to change it to Nitish and Nitish. Okay, I'm gonna copy this. Okay, and okay, it cannot go inside the, okay, that's okay. So okay, we have what, this thing, right? Now what I asked ChatGPT is nothing. Okay, this file can be accessed by the root user. Okay, can be accessed by the root user only. Okay, and I'm able to change the permissions for this by using sudo. Why is sudo working on Nitish? Because Nitish is added to the wheel group. Okay, now I am saying remove the root permission. Okay, I do not want any other user accessing this. Okay, even if he has permissions. Okay, so I'm saying, okay, keep this file explicitly only for uh, Nitish. Okay, so I'm gonna say sudo chown. Okay, change ownership. Okay, Nitish is the owner, Nitish is the group. Okay, and adas is the file name which is here. Okay, if I do ll, I have Nitish and Nitish. Cool. Okay, now if I switch user as Darshan, if I type my password, okay, if I say cat, which stands for reading the text file, which has nothing as of now, okay, adas, it's going to say nothing. Okay, I'm going to type ls and saying adas. Okay, and if I'm going to type ll, okay, cool. Let me clear this. Okay, and okay, this vi sudo is still open. Okay, exit. Cool. What? Yeah, now I am the Darshanamanath user here as well. Okay, now let me just see id for Darshanamanath. Okay, yes, here I can see the admin group. Okay, added to Darshanamanath. Why? Because in Mac it's not what, it is not the wheel group which is added to the user in order to give root permissions, it's the admin group. Okay, cool. Now the basic commands are this: chmod, chown, user add, group add. Okay, let's add a group. Okay, let's exit. Okay, let's exit. Okay, I'm group add. I don't know why. Okay, if I show you groups, okay, for root it's going to show root. Okay, cool. And I want to add this, I don't know why, group to, let's say, Darshan. Okay, I can say something like user mod add group Darshan. I don't know why. Oops. It's user mod eg. Yeah, now it's gonna work. Okay, now if I do id Darshan, okay, I have two groups here. That is the predominant one, and this is a new group. Okay, and it got incremented. Okay, the existing groups got incremented to 1000, 2001, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, this was 2. Okay, Nitish was 3, and this is 4. Makes sense? Cool. And I would want to end this video right here. Okay, I would want to end this video right here. One thing is because this is the basics, okay? This is all you need to know for proceeding further. In Linux, there are a shit ton of commands, okay? There are a lot of commands which you really do not need, okay? These are the predominant ones which are often used, okay, when you're working as a cloud administrator and you need to give permissions to certain services, okay? You can add the group, you can remove the group, you can add user, you can remove user. All sorts of things can be done. You can add permissions, you can remove permissions. Also, something interesting I will tell you here before quitting, okay? So, each, okay, let me just do LL here, okay? Now, each, this thing is the binary digit, okay. So forget the first one because the first one does not signify anything. It only signifies whether it's a link or directory or a file, okay. Let's consider this, okay. 9 9, okay. If I turn all these bits as 1, if there's a dash, it means it's 0. If there's something present, that means it's 1, okay. If I turn all these bits as 1, what will be the resulting decimal value? That is 111. It will be 7, right? Okay. Now I'm gonna say this, okay. I'm gonna say I only want to give the last 3 binary digits the permissions RWX. The first 3, screw them, okay. So I can say something like ch mod, okay. Instead of saying RWX or something like that, I can say something like 007, okay. I don't need to say plus. I mean, I need to say plus because we are adding, right? Yeah. I can remove that also actually. Yes. Okay, now if I do LL, I'm going to remove all the permissions and I'm only going to have RWX. Okay. Now let's say I want to have RWX on everything. What do? It's a very simple thought process. I can simply do what? Yeah. Instead of 7, I can have 777. Okay. And if I do this, RWX. Okay. Now let's say I want to create RWX for every single file. I can write a simple loop in shell scripting, okay, and I can change every permission string to RWX just like this, okay. RWX is there, okay. So that is for the video, guys, and I hope you guys are waiting for the next video. And till then, if you're interested in cloud, DevOps, or Linux sysadmin, this is very important, okay. You cannot skip Linux for cloud. You cannot skip because the cloud runs on Linux distros, okay. And one more thing, in the starting I mentioned something called Rocky Linux, okay. Rocky Linux, okay. What is this Rocky Linux? Okay. So basically what happened is, okay, CentOS, which was a free version of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, is no more under development, okay. It's done. People are not going to push updates to that, okay. So there's an alternative to CentOS, okay, which we can actually use, okay, which is Rocky Linux, okay. If we come down, it says it uses package managers like RPM and all. Is Rocky Linux same as CentOS? Let's just open this. Yes, Rocky Linux can run the same software as CentOS and can be used for the same purposes, okay. Let me open my DigitalOcean control panel. I have a server running here with Rocky Linux installed, okay. Cool. If I go to the console here and let it open, cool. Now pwd, the exact same things work here, okay. This is cloud, okay. Let me just do an ID on this. Cool. Same thing, root, everything what you saw. Awesome. Now what I want to do is I want to see the okay, OS release file. Now it's saying ID like Red Hat Enterprise Linux, CentOS, Fedora, okay. Now, if you're using Rocky Linux, okay, everything you learn in Fedora or Red Hat or CentOS is going to apply on Rocky, okay. So these are all families, okay. This is what I meant by flavors, okay. If you run something on Windows 10, it probably runs on Windows 11, right? But if you run the exe file on a Mac, it's not going to work the same way. It's going to say exe. I don't even know what an exe file is. Correct. Even if it's an executable, executable format for Linux, certain Linux, and what Mac is totally different. You cannot run exe on Linux. You cannot run on DMG on Linux, right? So certain support is there. Okay. So on any distro, you can just do this cat etc os release, and you will see the operating system type. Okay. So yeah, that's it for the video. Okay, that's it for the video, and this is pretty simple, I guess. I have actually explained a bit more. You don't need this much, to be honest. Okay, what you can do is you can grab the basic concepts. Okay, you can just test the commands out, adding a group, deleting a group, and then you can just proceed. Okay, but if you do not understand the concept, you cannot work as a cloud architect or anyone. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm dropping off the video. Okay, let's meet in the next video.